Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Listen podcast. My guest today, very excited about this one, is a content creator with over 1.4 million followers on TikTok alone. Probably the nicest person in the world. I
Oh.
don't even think it's a stretch. And the definition of positivity, Tessa Conway. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so great. Thank you for having me.
No,
I'm really excited to be here.
thank you for coming on. I'm very excited. So we've actually only met once before,
Yes.
and what it was at like a I don't know
Like a
a
sports
little yeah a
event.
little socializing, a little event.
Yeah.
And I saw you and I'm like, okay, I have been watching your videos for a couple of years now. I'm like, I have to go up to her and just tell her how much I appreciate her content. Um, and yeah, I'm such a huge fan of your content because it is literally just positivity. You're so full of love. And I think something that makes me enjoy your content even more is like it doesn't feel preachy to me.
Okay, I love that.
It's very authentic. It's not like you don't pretend like everything in the world is amazing and no bad things happen. Like you show both sides. You show the positive side and like your happy side, but you also show like yeah, you cry and you have bad
It
days and
wasn't
I love
always
that.
like that. It wasn't always like that. But I think I was kind of like forced to get into that because I at the beginning it was only sunshine and rainbows.
Mm,
And then I started to feel like when I would go through hard stuff, I was like, I can't share this. No one
mm,
wants to see this. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm not posting at all because I'm going through like a hard moment or like a hard little chapter. And then I would kind of feel like if I'm not going to share anything, I got to share something because my platform was very important to me. And then I started sharing a little bit more vulnerable things, and the how my audience reacted was so positive. And I was like, oh, it's okay to like share the good and the bad. And I think it actually made my platform stronger and my audience stronger and like trust me more. And it built like a more meaningful relationship with my audience because before it was just like, you're so cute. Have a great day. I love you so much. Everything's going to be okay. And that's great. And I think there's for sure like space for that. But then once I integrated, like, by the way, like I'm having a bad day. So if you're also having a bad day, it's okay. People are like, oh, okay, that makes me feel good too, actually.
yeah.
And there's so many people online doing it, but there also isn't enough. So like it was scary at first, but now I'm happy to say, and I'm glad that that's what people are like can see from my platform when you
Yeah.
look at it now, full spectrum.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's to me when I see it's like, oh, like she is human.
Yeah.
Because it's like if
Yeah.
all they see is the positive side, then people might think, oh, well, like maybe she was just born different. Maybe she like just doesn't have hard times. But they're like, oh, they see it. They're like, oh,
Yes.
Tessa's human. Like she's
Yes.
just like every single one of us. So how I mean, it's a bit more inspiring because they're like, oh, I can get to that point, to
Exactly.
that level of positivity.
Exactly. Because, yes, I actually used to get that comment all the time. And to be completely honest, in high school, I was just like positive, optimistic. The world had not touched me yet. I mean, like, everyone had their things in childhood and all that stuff. But, like, for the most part, no one could tell me anything. I was always positive side. But then I did learn that toxic positivity was a thing and that it was okay to, like, experience negative things and then, like, acknowledge the negative things. But yeah, it was very important for me to learn how to like share that stuff too. And I think it helped people a lot more than just the positive stuff because I am just a human and like you in my really positive messages might mean something for a second, but if I don't know, it was more important building the relationship, like I said with my audience. It just when people come up to me and they know me, it feels like they really know me.
Yeah.
And they seem to have some kind of parasocial deep relationship with me. And it's like not surface level. It's not like, I love your videos. They're so fun. And that's also great. But like, it's just really cool because some people bring out a lot of emotion when they meet me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have like been impacted by me. And it's hard. It's really hard to grasp. And I don't know if you also feel this way, but sometimes it can be really hard to understand that these people are actually like invested in your life. They've been watching you for
Absolutely.
potentially years. They've seen like you grow up in a sense. So I don't it's a weird, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, I think especially with your content, it is so personal. It does bring out these emotions. So I think that's why people feel, even me, like this is only our second time meeting, but I feel like I know you so much more because your videos are so personal. Like
Mhm.
videos just you saying like hey, like, I feel like you need to hear this. Like, I hope you have a great day, or you're doing good, or I'm proud of you. Like, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff really makes people feel connected to you. And I think it's interesting that you said, when you were in high school, it really kind of was all positivity because,
Mhm.
like, you hadn't really fully experienced the world. I'm kind of in a similar boat where I would say up until maybe I think it was about 3 years ago, like, I didn't really have bad days. I mean, aside from things that would make anyone sad, like my grandma passing away, for
Totally.
example, I didn't have, like, sometimes just waking up and having a bad day. I was always happy. And it's really weird for me because just one day, for the first time ever, I had, like, a panic attack.
Okay.
And it's so hard to explain, but there, like, to me, it truly feels like there was Jesse before the panic attack
Yeah.
and Jesse after.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't wanna say that this panic attack, like, unlocked all of these, negative feelings. I feel like it almost like, they were always there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should say it feels like it doesn't feel like the panic attack created these problems. It feels like they were always there and I was suppressing them,
I see.
and for whatever reason, that panic attack unlocked them, and ever since then, it's been much more of a daily battle, having good days, having bad days, but I almost prefer it because I'm like, okay, so this is what it's like to be human. You
It's
know what I mean?
real.
Not every single day is sunshine and rainbows, but it's about your mindset, it's about your outlook, it's about what you do when bad things happen.
Mhm.
That is how you turn bad days into good
I
days.
know. I find myself missing the version of myself that was all sunshine and rainbows. And since I've stepped out of that persona, I have felt like something might be wrong with me. I'm like, is there something wrong with my life? Like, why can I not just be a full embodiment of sunshine anymore? And for sure, there could be factors that are making me a more different person, and I could be a bit of a happier person. Um, and be more of that high school self. And it's actually a goal of mine because I think we also, when we grow up, we let the world tell us how to feel, and we let hard emotions become really big, and we take on issues in the world. And there are things that really cover up that, like, innocent, childlike manner. But anyone you talk to, any adult you talk to, they're experiencing life in a hard way. Like, there's no person that's like, life is easy. Every single person in this world is, life is hard. And it's just a roller coaster, and it's up and down. And I think that's just what, like, we went through. And we are like, okay, we're just experiencing up and down.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with us. This is just life.
Yeah.
And it's not always great, but if you can still manage to channel that childlike energy and, like, use it as a tool and be like, okay, well, I don't know. Sometimes I think about, like, my high school self and how she would view something. It was, like, snowing back in, like, March after it had been kind of sunny. And I know my high school self would have been like, oh my gosh, it's snowing. Like, this is so fun. It's going to be really warm anyways soon. So, like, why not enjoy this fun little snow day?
But your adult
But,
self.
oh, my adult self was like, are you kidding me?
It's still snowing?
Like, literally get rid of the snow. I'm ready for it to be warm. But then I literally had this full conversation in my head. And then I was like, I'm just going to enjoy it today. And I think that stuff is important. And I know not everyone grew up with a really positive mindset. But I think it's in all of us. And I think that childlike, innocent, undamaged self is in all of us that thinks the world is pretty great.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to still channel that.
I completely agree with you. I think it's very important, and that's even why today, I don't know if you saw my story. I posted it maybe like an hour ago.
I did.
But like, so the last few days, my allergies have been really bad. So
Yeah.
I was just feeling really, really, like, just trash,
Yeah.
and haven't wanted to do anything. And I woke up today feeling so much better, and
Aw.
I keep hearing this song that's, like, stuck in my head, and I
saw
was
that.
dancing to it, and I'm like, you know what? I never post just, like, a silly story. Like, why not? Like, what? Like,
Totally.
I feel like, as an adult, you're like, oh, like, what are people gonna think of me? It's uncool. This, and I was just like, you know what? I'm having fun dancing this song.
cares?
Let me post it. And, like, I've already gotten so much love from people saying, oh, I love this. This is awesome. You should dance more, that kind of stuff. So it's like, it really
Exactly.
is just like young Jesse would have done it without even thinking about it.
Exactly.
And yeah, you gotta be a kid
I
as
know.
much as you can.
I feel like I'm if you know me in real life or in, like, my personal life, I say this a lot, so I feel like a broken record, even though I'm sure not many people have heard me say this, but I'm just such like a this is all temporary. You could just be gone tomorrow. Like, dance on your video phone and then post it. Like, who cares? No one cares. It's fun. And like, again, the channeling the childlike and just, I don't know. You have nothing to lose. You're not going to look back in 80 years and be like, wow, that was so upset I did that.
Yeah.
You were just like enhancing your little human experience.
Yeah,
By
exactly.
just being free and like doing whatever you wanted to do.
Exactly. So where does your positivity come from?
I don't know.
I feel like it's probably the most often asked question for you.
You know what? I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah. I can attribute it a lot to the people in my life. My stepdad is like the most positive little being in the whole world. He's so wonderful. And he always is just like a bright side kind of guy. But I don't 100% know. I think I was just always like really energetic and outgoing as a kid. And it's just kind of always, I think people like started labeling me as like a little ball of sunshine. And then I think as kids, any labels anyone gives you, they kind of stick. If you're the
sure.
smart kid or like, oh, you're really good at science, anything someone points out to you about you as a kid, I feel like it sticks. And I think that was the thing that people kept telling me. And I really liked the way it felt. And also it came pretty naturally. I've always been pretty energetic. So I don't know. I will say it comes pretty naturally, but now that life has given me a couple 1-2s, I'm like, no, this is a choice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I definitely choose to be positive now because it can be really easy to have a negative mindset. And I'm realizing that I have to catch myself actually now. It used to come a lot more naturally, and now I have to actually implement positivity. But I am a generally happy and like bubbly person.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of my personality.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I've always been someone, I think for me, I truly just always have the mindset of like, it's not that serious. It's not that big a
Totally.
deal when something bad does happen.
Mhm.
I feel like people are very quick to get upset if something derails their day slightly, and that will cause it to derail your day even more.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And with me, I'm just like, for example, I don't know, you knock over a glass and it breaks. It's like, okay, like it's not the end of the world. Nothing.
No,
This is not
literally.
going to affect your life. Nothing.
Yes.
Tomorrow you're going to forget about it. It's not a big deal. And that's
Yeah.
kind of my mindset with everything. I'm like, is this worth getting upset over? And I find that honestly, like 95% of the time, if not more, it's not worth getting upset over.
100%. I always use this like analogy, and it's like you spill the glass or you break the glass. Or it's better with people. So say like someone cuts you off in traffic, and you get really upset about it in that moment, but then you like carry it on for the rest of the day. You're letting that person, first of all, cut you off in traffic. That already sucked. But then you're letting them like steal your whole day. You're losing out twice now.
Yeah.
You could have just lost out once with the cut off situation, which to be honest, it's not a loss. Just like get over it.
It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. But like now you're letting that one person, that half a second situation, ruin your whole day.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you're doing that to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. It's not, sometimes you really have to make the conscious effort, but it's so worth it to catch yourself and be like, how worth it is this?
Yeah.
To like literally put myself in a bad mood.
Exactly.
It's not worth it.
I wanted to ask you, so with your kind of content, how would you define the type of content you make? It's very hard to explain.
It's so hard. And I just feel so, I'm not going to be like, I don't like being like, I make really inspiring content. Because I'm like, I don't know if it's inspiring to someone, but like that's the general idea. So I usually say it's just content with the purpose of making social media a more positive place. Because some of my videos are pretty dumb and they're just like little fit checks. And they're just happy though. They're supposed to like, they're definitely not videos that have educational purposes or like seriousness to them. It's supposed to just be like leave you in a better mood in any way. So I always just say positive content usually, but like might throw in uplifting or inspirational.
Yeah.
But it feels a bit weird saying that.
It's kind of all over the place. Even before you got here, behind the camera, our producer Chris, he's like, "So who's the guest today?" And I'm like, her name's Tessa Conway. I'm like, I don't know how to explain. Like, she's just really positive.
Thank you. I'm glad
really
you said that
person.
because I literally find it really hard to explain my content to people. Because I also just kind of do lifestyle. I'll do vlogs. Kind of like I'm just me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's perfect because people love authenticity.
This is true.
I think that is why your content does so well. It's not just the positivity because anyone can say, "Oh, I'm proud of you. I hope you have a good day." But with you, like, it really feels like you mean it, and and now after speaking to you, like, it really does feel like that is Tessa. It's not some character that you're making
No.
or just this persona you're giving yourself online. Is like, it is who you are. Just sometimes you put a camera in front of
Totally.
yourself.
I'm glad that's how it translates because I also have a lot of imposter syndrome with it because personally, I'm just a very, I don't know how to explain myself. I just have a lot of different like personalities and moods to me, and I fluctuate a lot. So I can be very serious and like quiet and have a really deep conversation with someone, but then I can also be like the most insane little psycho and like crazy energy. But I'm both people, and I've always been really insecure about showing all these sides of myself online because I'm like, people are gonna think I'm inauthentic when I am serious.
And you're like these different characters.
Yes, totally. But I've always been like this my whole life, and it's been something I've disliked about myself, but I'm learning to accept it and embrace it. But it is really tough online because I can't control the way people view me. And if I were viewing me, I'd be like, wow, there's a lot going on. Like, I'm sure just going through my content, you're like so many different energies.
Yeah.
Hopefully all positive, but like still I have a lot to me. And I have had quite a few comments about it of people being like, wow, there's a lot to this
She's
girl.
all over the place.
She is all over the place. But I'm like, you know what? It's just me, and I'm just glad. All I want is for each version of me to come off authentically. That's all I care about. You can see my crazy side and then see my serious side or all the other ones. And just hopefully it comes off authentic. But I think that's just something naturally that happens when it is authentic. I can't force it to be.
I think everyone is like that to an extent. I think everyone just has different sides. I know for me, something that like when people get to know me, they realize how quiet I can be. And honestly, it was something with like when my girlfriend and I started dating, she like had to get used to because she wasn't used to me being super quiet.
Yeah.
And she like slowly started to learn that that's like, it's not me upset at her. It's not me angry. It's just like, especially honestly, since COVID, my social battery is much lower than it used to be.
Totally.
So after like one outing, I come home and I'm like, not that I don't want to talk. It's just like, I would rather just lay here in silence. I'm happy.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong. I'm just in a quiet mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. And like to go from really chatty to that, I can understand why people in my life are like, are you mad at me? I'm like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just tired or quiet or nothing's even wrong. I'm just not in a chatty mood right now.
Yeah, she was like that all the time. She's like I feel like you're mad at me. Did I do something wrong? And I'm like, no. And I told her, I'm like, she should almost be flattered that I'm quiet around her because I'm like, I feel like you are one of the only people in my life where I can be 100% myself, not feel like I need to be on or, working or I need to talk or anything. It's like, you are one of the only people where I'm like, I can sit here and be quiet and I am happy.
I feel safe. I feel safe. I don't have to perform. You're just getting all of me authentically.
Exactly.
100%. I completely relate.
So how and when did you decide to start posting videos? Like, why did you do that?
Okay, so I started on TikTok like everyone else in COVID, I feel. And in 2020, all of these videos are archived. You will not find them for good reason, but they are just the most like embarrassing little videos. My whole life wanted to be an actress, or I just would have told you I wanted to be famous. So anyways, and so most of my videos would just be really, really silly ones, trying to like be a part of the trends and the dances and all that stuff, super cringy. And then a couple videos, I'd be like, hey guys, like I really want to be famous. And I promise I'd be a really good famous person. It's so embarrassing, literally so embarrassing. And nothing ever came of it until one day on my birthday, I posted a video. I was like, hey guys, it's my birthday. And like, as my birthday wish, I really want to be famous. So if you could just like this video. And the video got like 250,000 views. And that was a lot to me.
Sure.
That I was like, oh my gosh, I'm famous. And then nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. I gained like 3,000 followers. And then a year goes by. And then that's when it started actually happening. I started posting these little videos. I think it was like 2021. And I would post a video of being like, hey, you have a cute butt. Or like, hey, I think you're cute and I hope you have a great day. And people ate them up. Yeah. And I think it was because the pandemic was hard for everyone. And a tiny little girl on their screen just being like, you're cute. Was like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They needed some positivity.
I feel great. Yeah. And I love that. And they were super silly. But I noticed like I think it was probably one of my first videos to reach 1 million. And I have a video on my phone of me being like, I have a video on TikTok that's about to reach 1 million. This is so crazy. And I saw it the other day. And because it's almost been like 3 years to the date where that happened. And then I was like, okay, let me try like doing that again. And I would drive on my way to work because I worked as a barista early mornings, and I would try and leave 5 minutes earlier. So I'd drive to work and I'd pull over right before I got to work and just sit in this little parking spot, and I'd record one. I always tried to record one video before work, and I'd post it, and then I'd go to work. And usually when I went to go like check on my phone, these videos were doing well and like consistently, and they were just the same copy and paste but like a different kind of cute message. And I would do that every single morning. It was like part of my job now. I had to drive to work and then pull over and make a video, and it just kept going and kept going, and I figured out what people were wanting to see.
Yeah.
And it was just these positive silly messages, and everyone loved it. And then that summer it was kind of like a spring to summer thing, and I just blew up, and that's when it kind of started.
It gets addicting, no?
Yeah,
The views.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. And then all of a sudden I had a manager, and then I was working with them, and it was a job. And then I was like, how did this all happen? And I think I grew to 1 million in 7 months or something like that. It was pretty fast. And but I also, it's so funny, I just have huge imposter syndrome about it. I feel like it's normal with creators.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, there's so many people who did it like overnight, so like it's not a big deal. But it felt pretty fast. And then I wasn't willing to make the same content because I don't know, I think I started to feel embarrassed about my content. And I haven't ever talked about this much. I talk about it in real life with people, but definitely not online. But I think I just started to feel like my content would kind of make me cringe. I don't know if you've ever had content that you've watched
A
of
lot
yourself.
of my old content, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a tough feeling. But people love it, and no one else is cringing. Or maybe they are, but like you don't know about that. And so then I just wasn't willing to make the same content. And it was kind of a challenging process because people didn't like me as much. And it was fine. I was still growing, but way, way differently. So it was like a big boom. And then I wasn't willing to just like do that thing that honestly, it's a great business move. I should have. I don't know if I would go back and change anything, but then I just started making content that I just genuinely wanted to make. And I had the audience to kind of like do that, which is really cool. But it was a journey, like up and down. I could tell you it could go on for years, but like over the 2 years after that, it was a lot of up and down of like losing followers because I changed my content, and then gaining some after I did finally. And then people only expected me to make that content. I'm sure you experienced the same.
100%.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think the key is it's very difficult because like I said, it is addicting when you kind of, you find what works. And I've had that multiple times through the process where it's like, okay, you can kind of copy and paste and continue to grow, but then you kind of get tired of doing that content. It's not what you want to do. 100%. And honestly, that's the biggest reason I started this podcast, was because I do enjoy the content I make, but it doesn't really give me the opportunity to show myself, and it doesn't give me the
100%.
opportunity to have conversations with people that I find interesting. So I'm like, I'm going to start the podcast. Does this get as many views as my regular videos? Absolutely not. But I enjoy it just as much, if not more.
But also maybe one day.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing it.
Exactly.
You know? But yeah, it's just fulfilling. I think content creation is really interesting. I have so many thoughts about it, but I don't think on its own it's very fulfilling. I really commend full-time content creators that are just doing content and don't have like I mean, I'm one of these people, but I'm also trying to work on things right now because of this problem of just content creation feeling really bare on its own, and it just doesn't feel fulfilling, in my personal opinion. It just doesn't feel like enough.
No, for sure. And it's very hard to have that conversation with people because very few people are in the same world that we're in. So it's like, it's hard for people to imagine. They're like, well, what do you like? For example, people on the outside looking in might say, Tessa, you have like over 1 million followers. You get all these comments of people who love you, who love your content. How can that not be fulfilling? But it's not until you're in the position that you're like, you don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't feel fulfilling. You don't feel like you're doing enough. It doesn't, you have that imposter syndrome when you're like, why do I have this many followers? Why do that many people enjoy my content?
I think for any other person that's not a content creator, if you post a photo of yourself on Instagram and you're hoping for some external validation, you know very well that whether you get 5 likes or 100 likes or 1,000 likes, you don't feel any
Mm-hmm.
differently. Like I think we are all guilty of like posting a photo on Instagram of just being like, hey guys, this is how I look. What do you think? And like hoping people like it and comment and tell you you're attractive and whatever. But even if they do, you don't feel differently about yourself. You might for like half a second.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like just a scientific whatever. That's
Yeah.
how it works.
Dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't last very long. And it's the exact same. I think if there are any people out there that aren't content creators that wanted to understand what it's like for someone like me, it's that exact same thing. It's copy paste how you feel posting an Instagram photo is the same way of me posting a TikTok video, whether it has 10 million views and hundreds of thousands of comments telling me how wonderful I am, it feels the exact same.
Yeah.
Like truly, genuinely.
Yeah. I think we all kind of feel the same problems just on a different scale. For
Mhm.
example, like you have 100 followers, you wish you had 200. Then you get
Oh
200,
my
you wish you had
gosh.
1,000. And I'm sure when you hit 1 million, you're like, oh, like, and you don't want to, but I've done it before where I hit 100,000, like, well, this person's at 1 million, and like, why do
No.
they have 1 million? I'm like, why am I comparing?
No.
But no matter what, whatever number you have, there's someone that has more. You always
Exactly.
want more. There's no number. So that I think that's why it feels so unfulfilling.
Exactly. You'll never, ever feel satisfied. I promise. And I think that just goes for everything in life. No matter what goal you're trying to achieve, you have to realize that even once you get there, and you should enjoy the process and you should go after goals, but you're already going to be on to the next thing. Because I remember I have a journal, and I was writing at the time in my journal all about blowing up on TikTok. And I was like, I'm at 30,000 followers. I can't even imagine what 100K would be like. That is so crazy. Like, that's my dream. And I remember, like, I think I cried about it once. I was like, this is so crazy. I think it's going to happen. And then the second I got to 100K, I was like, okay, well, like, now I'm at 101. So, like, maybe I'll get to 200.
Yeah.
And it just, like, immediately, you don't even enjoy it. There was no, like, maybe for a second, I was like, oh, there's the number.
Yeah.
I don't feel crazy different. It's kind of
on to the
exciting.
next one.
Oh my gosh, it's so exhausting. So you really, truly do have to just enjoy the process and then also be grateful for where you are, because you used to be in a different place, no matter
Yeah.
who you are, where you are.
Absolutely. Do you think that there was, going back to your positivity, it's hard to imagine anyone is born like that, just with that much positivity and, that kind of outlook on life. Was there a certain point in your life, a certain moment where there was kind of a shift in your mindset where you kind of decided, like, to have this outlook on life?
I don't know. I think my not to like get into any childhood stuff, but I think my childhood was challenging in a lot of ways, and I think I felt really alone for most of my life. I had people, but I just felt alone, and I have 4 siblings, but none of them close in age, and I felt like an only child, and with working parents, it just can feel lonely. And I think I just became, I don't know, I think I just felt like I was getting through life on my own at a pretty early age. And maybe that's what kind of sparked more positivity. I don't know. I think I had to show up for myself and really take care of myself at a more younger age. But I don't know. I feel like I'm naturally a positive person, but I also think some character building happened for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people that kind of want to emulate the outlook on life that you have? Where do they start?
For anyone that it doesn't come naturally to, you have to practice it. At any moment that you are faced with it, which is like a billion times for the day, there's always a positive outlook you can have. And I used to say this in high school, and I still believe it. I think there is an upside to everything. There's always an upside, even to a downside thing. Like anything bad that happens, you can find a positive. Like, this is so silly, but last night I went to go to the concert, the Noah Kahan concert, and my roommate Jess and I couldn't get tickets, and we literally went and just tried to get last minute ones. We were so confident that we were going to get them, and we never went. And then we were like, okay, well, this sucks. And I think for most people, they would have been like in a bad mood. They would have been like, this is the worst thing ever.
Ruin
And
the night, yeah.
totally, don't get me wrong. We were sad. We were bummed. But then we were immediately like, what can we do? And we went to a $5 amateur comedy show. And it was the most memorable experience for sure. Best $5 I've ever spent. There was literally 14 people watching this comedy show, including Jess and I. and no one else was laughing. It was just Jess and I. It was the most like crazy, weird experience. And it was just so funny because at the end of the night, I think we very well could have been like, what a waste of $5.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that we missed out on the concert to go to this. But instead we were like, that's hilarious. Like, this is so funny that we ended up doing this on a random Tuesday night. Anyways, I just think if you're someone who's not naturally positive, it's something you have to really, really try for. When you go to pay and the machine doesn't take your tap and that frustrates you, you need to like take a step back and be like, okay, is that a big deal? Is if I let these small things all day, every day bother me, I'm going to be miserable my whole life. You need to learn to let things go and like just accept life as it's happening. And it's easier said than done, and it's really challenging. I don't want to give advice because I'm naturally positive, but I also have grown up a bit and I've experienced what it's like to actually get into a really negative mindset. It's work to be positive.
Yeah.
It really is. And once you notice your tendencies to be negative, I think you can start to work on them, but you have to be aware of them first.
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, a lot of it is what I do is like counting my blessings. Like whenever something bad goes wrong, like even something that most people consider like a pretty bad day, like your phone stops working. It's like, yeah, that sucks. Like,
it does.
To anyone that sucks, but it's like, yeah, but I have a roof over my head and I'm not worrying about where my next meal is coming from and there's clean water. And even with like us on like social media, like I think, well, yeah, this person has 1 million followers, but like I still have 400,000. And to even just, for me, when it comes to social media, I very much try to visualize the numbers.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, like once you realize that this isn't just a number, like for example, 400,000.
No.
I was at WrestleMania like 2 weeks ago, and over the 2 nights, the full stadium had filled 145,000 people. And I'm like, if you double those 2 nights and add another 100,000 people, that is how many people have decided, how many human beings have decided to look at my content and hit the follow button. And that kind of stuff is like, okay, I need to remind myself that, because for us, every single day you just check your phone. Okay, it's just a number. You see the number and you don't associate it with
crazy.
the people.
Put them in a room. See how you feel.
Exactly. It'd be
You
the
would
biggest
feel
room in
pretty
the world.
crazy.
Exactly.
Exactly. Gratitude's everything. Gratitude is, I think, the root of all and any joy you're going to experience in this life. You just have to be grateful for where you are. It's like when you get sick or you have bad allergies all of a sudden and you're like, wow, this sucks. Like, I miss not sneezing 24/7, or I really wish my throat wasn't sore. And it's in those moments you realize how good you've had it. And it's just so cliche, but truly gratitude, everything.
Exactly.
You need to learn to be grateful for where you're at. Because if you can't be grateful for where you are now, you're never going to feel grateful for where you are ever.
Exactly.
You could gain everything you've ever wanted in the world, have all the success in 10 years, and if you don't know how to be grateful for this version of you now, you're not going to feel grateful for that version of you. I promise. It's just how it works.
Yeah. It's just like you said, like getting sick or having allergies. It's like when you're sick or you can't breathe through your nose, all you're thinking about is feeling better and being able to breathe through your nose.
Exactly.
It's like all these other things, like if you have your health, you're good.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
What I mean?
Yes. And someone who has never experienced any major health issues, I feel so grateful for that. But I also know like how, when I think of people who have had major health conditions, I'm sure they are just like, they really understand how detrimental your health is. And I'd like to think I have a good grasp, but you truly don't know until it's actually taken away from you. But if you have your health, you have everything.
Exactly.
You have everything you need. Like, even people without a roof. Traveling was the best thing I've ever done for my perspective on life, especially from someone from North America who has had so much privilege but didn't know how much privilege I truly had until I saw people without it. And people without houses, without transportation, without much clothes, food, or water. They're happy. So why am I not? It's very eye-opening. And we have so much here. So understanding how good you truly have it, even if you feel like you don't. You do, I promise. If you're listening to this especially, oh my goodness, you have it wonderfully, I promise.
Yeah. I'm very interested to ask you because you're probably the most positive, genuinely, probably one of the most positive people I've ever met. Maybe the most positive person.
Oh, that's
so I am
cool.
curious, and I'm afraid I do know the answer, but do you get hate on social media?
I've always been very lucky.
Yeah.
Not really. But I have had some. The most I ever got was when I was traveling and posting content at the same time, because people I would post a video and it would be like, hey guys, just want to like remind you that this is all temporary and like just enjoy your day. But the background was like a Bali villa. So fair for someone to look at that and be like, screw you. Like literally, of course you think life is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do get that. But also they didn't realize that at that time I had like $58 in my bank account, and I was like so stressed and so anxious, but I was also like trying to make, there was just so many, no one knows the backstory to
They only
any
see
of that.
what you allow them to see.
Totally. And also like what I was trying to embody. Most of my content, fun fact, is very applicable to how I'm feeling about my life. If I tell you I'm proud of you and you're having a good day, it's probably because I wish someone was telling me that. So I think it just puts it into perspective also. But I have received bits of hate here and there. But most of it was when I was traveling and posting positive content. People just, I wasn't relatable. And that sucked because I was like, I totally get it, but I don't know, it's just tough.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, there's been like random I don't read comments very much though, to be completely honest.
Good.
Yeah.
It's very good. That's something I've learned to do, and over the last few months I've really stopped reading comments.
Do
I
you
used
get
to do it.
lots of hate?
Oh, I get hate all the time.
I don't know how people would deal with that. How do you
It's-
deal with it?
If I'm honest, so at first, like I've gotten hate for a while, but like the first like time I started getting a lot of hate was actually a few months ago, and for the first like week or two, it really took me a while. I was really down in the dumps. I didn't want to talk to anyone. It was like all I could think about. I would just keep refreshing and
Really?
reading more and more, and it was just like it was probably the lowest my mental health ever was a few months
No.
ago. And then it just like anything, I mean, time heals, and it's just like, you start to see the comments a little bit less, but you're still seeing them, and each one hurts a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And
Totally.
now, honestly, genuinely, it's in one ear, out the other. I really couldn't care less.
That's
And
good.
it's because you have to remind yourself, like just what I was saying before, they don't know anything.
They
They
don't
literally
know
only
you.
see what you allow them to see. So if they are upset with you, if they're angry, if they're hating, it's like you just have to let them. A lot of them are either bots or just people that don't have anything better to do with their lives.
Totally.
And it's sad, you wish you could make every single person happy and everyone would love your content. But if even you, who literally is the epitome of positivity, gets to some extent hate comments, it's like there's no point in even stressing about it.
Oh yeah. And also I did realize, because I have had more than I think I understand, but when they have triggered me, it's usually because of my own insecurity.
Mhm.
But someone just saying like the most random, absurd thing, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that's about. But someone being like, wow, like your posts have been a bit like something lately, and maybe it's like a own insecurity I've been feeling.
Mhm.
I actually think that could be valuable. I think it's like a kind of, it's helpful to just be like, okay, that person doesn't know me, all this stuff. But also, why did that trigger me?
Mhm.
Because is that something that is an insecurity,
Yeah.
or like something I need to work on with myself? Because I learned this, I didn't learn it, I just heard it a bit ago. And I think it was probably a video, and it was like, other people triggering you actually isn't their fault. It is your own responsibility to deal with your own triggers. It sucks. People shouldn't walk around hurting your feelings and all that stuff. But it's also like not in, okay, this is like there's a spectrum to this. This isn't like talking about really aggressive people, but just like in general, say your partner triggers you and they're kind and loving and all this stuff. It isn't their fault that you're triggered. It's usually something deep down in you that needs to be healed. And it's not like a blaming game. It's like, oh, it's all my fault, then like I'm broken, all this stuff. It's just like, okay, they weren't meaning to hurt my feelings. There's a difference between them meaning to hurt your feelings and not. But if they weren't meaning to hurt my feelings and they did, I think that's probably something in me that needs to be healed. And I think we can look at hate the same way of like, if you got a comment about an insecurity of yours, it probably would really sting because, and it's not about that person viewing you that way. It's like, no, I actually view myself that way, and that kind of sucks that someone else noticed it,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I do think anytime I have gotten some, I'm like, whoa, and it hurts me. I'm like, okay, what's there? Is there something there?
Yeah.
Or is this like irrelevant and this just kind of annoyed me and I was having a bad day? Or is it deeper than that and maybe I should investigate? I know that's really deep, but it's just kind of who I am.
No, I don't think it's too deep at all. Like, it's honestly, I feel very similar. Like, something that I always kind of tell myself is whenever someone says something to me, I try, maybe this isn't a good way of going about it, but it's the way I go about it. I
Mhm.
try to assume that they mean it in the nicest way possible.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
not
I like
necessarily when it
that.
not necessarily when it comes to hate, because if someone says you're curses at you, there's only really one way to take it for the most part. But
Yeah.
if someone makes like, for example, if someone says, "Oh, like you look so skinny," you can, if you take it the worst way possible, you could take it as, "Oh, they're saying I'm too skinny." They mean it as a
Totally.
dig, whereas potentially they might not have worded it the best way, but they mean like, "Oh no, you look good. You
Yeah,
look like you've lost some weight." So it's
exactly.
like for me, I always try to assume that people mean it in the best way possible because look, I wouldn't say every single time people do mean it in the best way possible, but I also believe that 99% of the time they don't mean it in the worst way possible. So I
Mhm.
think if just trying to take it in the nicest way they meant it just makes life
You
easier.
have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's your mindset at the end of the day. Even like how you talk to yourself in your head. It's like there's no you're not going to look any different by calling yourself ugly in your head or calling yourself beautiful in your head. It's like it's just going to be how you live.
Mhm.
So like reading someone else's hate comment, just view it as like they were trying to compliment me and it's like there's literally no difference because you're never going to find out anyways. It's not going to make any difference at the end of the day. Just going to bring you a little bit more peace to be like, actually, they think I look good, you know? Might as well.
Yeah. Do you get any kind of social media exhaustion?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Like you get
yeah.
burnt out?
I feel like I'm the social media exhaustion queen. I'm like the most I can be really inconsistent with my posting because I have such um strong boundaries, like maybe too strong of boundaries with social media where the walls just go up the second I feel like I'm being forced to post, then I'm like, now I need a break. I need a break right now because I don't want to feel this way. I get exhausted all the time,
Mm.
especially with the kind of content I make because it's so personal to me and it's so dependent on how I feel. And if I don't feel like the world's a happy place, pretty hard to tell other people that, hey, bye, guys, like the world's a happy place.
Yeah.
Have a great day. I don't feel like that. So it does exhaust me, especially with how personal and meaningful my content can be. And it totally depends on my mental state, which is really challenging because then when I also go through like a depressive episode or I'm really not feeling good or I'm feeling insecure, I don't know what content to make because
Mhm.
I'm like I don't want to just go on social media and have it be my therapy and be like, hey guys, like I'm really not feeling good. Like it has value for sure every once in a while just to be like, by the way, everyone has hard days, but like I'm not gonna go online be
Mhm.
like, everyone, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
Does this make you feel better?
It's also
Like
not good to rely on it.
totally. And also like my goal is to make for people to watch my videos and make them feel better. So if we can put a positive spin on it, that would
Mhm.
like I had a bad day yesterday, now I'm feeling better. Let's stick to that. But anyways, it can be a bit tough and I can get exhausted because it's so dependent on me and how I'm feeling and feeling about life. And this year has been the hardest year of my life. So the social media exhaustion has been like rank full blast
Yeah.
for sure.
If I can be honest with you, I do not think you are being too strict with your boundaries at all. I think it
No?
is so important to take breaks to, when your mental health doesn't feel 100% or when it does start to feel like work, to put those walls up because it's
Yeah.
honestly it's something I deal with all the time. I tell people, so every single year I take a like 2 week break at the very end of the year, like around
Wow.
Christmas, where both as a consumer and as a creator, I delete all my social
That's
media and
amazing.
I just go off and just to help. Like I need it as a mental health break. And honestly, it's not enough. Like I wish I could do it every month for like a week, but
Really?
for you and I now, it is our
No.
job, so
There's
it's
some
not
guilt
always like,
attached
yeah,
to
you
it for
can't just
sure.
take a break whenever you want, but it's so important because for me, I get burnt out
It's
so
crazy.
quickly.
Especially,
Like
I feel like for you, because you are such a character. Like, you
mhm,
actually genuinely have
it's a
a
character.
character.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, like, I don't know. Just forcing that would be really
yeah.
tough.
Coming up with ideas and like sometimes filming videos when I'm like, I don't even think this is that funny. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
it is an ongoing battle for sure, but take as many breaks as you need,
That's
truly.
true.
It's
That's
very
true.
important.
It's just I'm sure you experience the creator guilt.
Yeah.
And that's also a challenging feeling to feel. So, do I want to experience content exhaustion and maybe potentially like inauthenticity in my content, or do I want to experience the content creator guilt? And it's one or the other, because if I'm taking a break, I feel guilty about it.
Mhm.
And I would love to at some point have that not be a thing. And I think if I had less personal focus on content creation and it wasn't my entire world, I could step away from it and not feel guilty because I have other things going on. But
Mhm.
because it is the majority of my life right now, it's hard when you take a break because you're just like, no, other people can't just take a leave of absence
Yeah,
every time they're
exactly.
not feeling good
Yeah.
from their 9 to 5. But I guess just deal with the guilt a little bit and then be grateful that I am able to take a
Yeah.
break.
When you say guilt, is it guilt that like so many people, whatever word you want to use, like need your content, rely on your content, that kind of, is that where the guilt comes from? That like you feel like you're kind of leaving people out to dry, or is it something else?
No, because I know how much content I have
Of
out
course.
there that people can watch and do go watch. And I get a lot of comments about how people have a lot of my videos saved, which I'm so grateful for. So the guilt actually doesn't come from there. It's a pretty selfish place of just like, you're not working hard enough and you could be doing more. And like, you have no excuse to not be posting, because especially with stagnancy in your platform, I don't know if you've ever experienced stagnancy.
Right now.
It's really challenging mentally because you feel like you're not enough and you feel like you're not doing enough and kind of like a failure when you once felt so successful. So the guilt comes from like, you're not doing yourself any favors. And like, it, unfortunately for social media, if you don't keep up, you are getting left behind. And I feel like I got left behind a while ago, and I've been happy with my platform and where it's at, and I'm okay with the stagnancy. But it can be a bit, it just, when I do take a break, I'm like, okay, so you just don't really care
Mhm.
and you're gonna throw in the towel. But it's so dramatic.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic and it's not real. It's just like, because you don't need to grow as a content creator to be successful. You can grow your platform to a certain amount and then just enjoy being there and
Yeah.
like ride the wave. And I don't plan to do this forever. So like, there's no pressure to even grow.
Yeah.
The numbers don't mean anything, but I'm sure you understand.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very important to know that you don't need to grow, and sometimes you grow even without posting. So for me, when my
Exactly.
Instagram first started blowing up, this was in the winter of 2022, yeah, when I had just started posting on like after a year, I was like grinding, posting on Instagram, and I had like 10,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was time for me to take my social media break for 2 weeks. And my content was like starting to blow up like 2 days before my break. And I went from like a year to get 10,000 followers to 15,000 followers in like 2 days. And I was like, man, do I still take this break? Like, I should ride the momentum. I should try and take advantage of this wave, this trend.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, like for my mental health, I need this break. So I took my 2 week break. I did not post a single video for 2 weeks. I came back to look at my page and I went from like 15,000 followers to like 40,000 followers without posting a single video.
Wow, that must have felt so
It
rewarding.
it felt so rewarding because I was like, I still made the right decision. I was
Yeah.
still able to take advantage of for whatever reason, all the viewers I was getting at that time and still take the break. So I would say like mental health is the most important thing,
So true.
because if you're not there mentally, your content's gonna take a hit.
Mhm.
People are gonna start to notice that isn't Jesse or that isn't Tessa. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So it's very important.
This is true. This is true. You're not doing yourself any favors by like pushing through, because eventually you're gonna experience some kind of negative
Yeah.
side effects from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other question for you, so you were talking about traveling before and how kind of the majority of the hate you got was when you were traveling.
Hmm.
Did that kind of turn you off at all from traveling, or
Actually, a little.
yeah?
Yeah. I think, well, maybe it was like content creation and traveling. I just didn't want to post.
When you were traveling.
Yeah. I felt like no one would listen to me anyways, and nothing I had to say would help people, which is so silly because who knows that 99.9% of people that were watching my videos at that time could have been like, no, I love this. This is so great. But that 0.1% of people that were saying whatever they were saying was making me so anxious to post anything positive at all. So it didn't affect my traveling per se, but I didn't want to post.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really challenging. And that was one of the more challenging chapters of my content creation journey. Mentally, I was having a lot of like anxiety, and it was tough. It was really tough. I did not enjoy being a content creator while traveling, and there's so many people that do it,
Mm-hmm.
but their content isn't quite like, it's usually travel content,
Yeah.
which is so fun, and I should have just rebranded at that point.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
It sucks because that 0.1% feels the loudest in that moment. I think you should try it. I mean, so I was gonna ask you because I love traveling.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot more of it, and I've been enjoying so much of it. So how did you like? So did you live in Bali,
I
or
did, yeah.
for
Well,
how long?
just 2 months. 2 months.
That's still.
Yeah.
How was that? How was
It
that
was
experience?
really great. It was really great. It was kind of spur of the moment. So I I actually went to move to Berlin earlier that year, with a friend, and we were there for 2 months in Berlin, and we couldn't get work visas because it was like post COVID, this crazy thing. Could not get work visas. Both of us were running completely out of money, and she ended up having, my roommate had to go home back to Canada and like figure out her life after that, and then I had a boyfriend at the time, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, maybe I'll just go off to Asia for a while. But it was a huge gamble because I was making a little bit of money online, but like nothing to support me enough. But I took the risk anyways, which was a bit of a questionable choice. But once I did make the choice, I ended up going with that boyfriend, and I landed like a brand deal right after I booked my flight, and it was like the last money I had. I don't know what my plan was. There must have been some kind of plan because I had a manager at the time, and I was getting his advice. I was like, am I gonna, like, do you think we can pull together something while I'm in Bali or whatever? I honestly don't remember my mindset, but I was making crazy decisions. And then anyways, I went to Asia, and it ended up working out. And Bali was really, really wonderful. But I made a little thing about this a bit ago. Your problems do follow you wherever you go.
Yeah.
So I remember being there and being like, wow, I'm so confused about my life, but at least I'm in Bali.
At least you're in Bali.
And then I did some other traveling around Asia, and then I went home.
Where else have you traveled to?
I went on that trip. I also went to the Philippines and Singapore, and that was it. Wait, yes, that was it. And then flew home.
And what was your,
really nice.
With every place you've been, what is your favorite
Oh my gosh,
destination you've been to?
That's so hard. I can't answer that. But the prettiest is in the Philippines. It's this like island. I think it's like Palawan. And it was the prettiest place I've ever been. Also, I never thought I'd be like I've had the best, like, I can recall the best day of my life person, but I did have the best day of my life.
In the Philippines?
In the Philippines. And it was on my birthday when I turned 21. I guess that was 21 or 22. 22. Best birthday ever, best day ever. It was really, really beautiful. Everyone should go to the Philippines.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was in South Korea last year.
Oh, so cool.
South Korea was beautiful, and in 3 weeks I leave for Japan.
Stop.
For 2 weeks. So
that's so fun.
Yeah, I really like. So many people are like, man, why are you doing so much traveling right now? And don't you need to save money? And like the short answer is yes, I do need to save money. But the long answer is, I'm like, look, the way I view it is, there are 2 points in my life where I'm going to be able to travel the most. One is after I'm retired and, God willing, I've been married and I have kids and they're old enough to take care of themselves. So when I'm in my 60s, maybe.
Yeah.
The other is right now.
Yeah.
Before I have a wife and kids and a mortgage and this and that. Like, yeah, I have responsibilities. I have bills I need to pay. I have things I need to do. But I'm never going to have less responsibilities than I do right now.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, I'm not going to have any less responsibilities than I will have tomorrow. So
Exactly.
It's like, now is the time to travel.
You can now. So do it now,
Exactly.
You can and you want to. So
exactly.
that's all you need.
People are like, oh, like you're doing the most. I'm like, I'm living my best life. Like, I went to WrestleMania 2 weeks ago. I have not really watched wrestling for years.
So fun.
But young Jesse used to live for the WWE. So I was like, okay, like this is for me to
Was it healing?
live out. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like seeing things like like growing up, I remember like me and my grandma before she passed away, we'd watch WWE together, and I don't know if you know who the Undertaker is,
No.
but the Undertaker is like this guy who like his gimmick is like he's the dead man, and
Okay.
he's like a zombie basically. And my grandma used to get so scared of him whenever we'd watch together. I think she pretended to be
That's
scared
so
because I was
cute.
like a baby, and I just loved watching wrestling with her. And yeah, just growing up, and the Undertaker was at that event like 20 years later.
Really?
It was so healing. It was a great trip.
That's
I
so
can't
cool.
talk enough about how important I think traveling is.
Oh, traveling's the best.
Yeah,
It's a privilege. But if you have the privilege, you should travel for sure.
absolutely.
Traveling is like the most life-changing thing ever.
Have you done a lot of traveling outside of Asia?
Yeah, when I was 18 after graduating high school, I went to Europe for like 5 or 6 months. I can't quite remember. That was my first big international trip, and I did go alone, but I had made friends in high school that were exchange students, and I ended up staying with them. So my traveling journeys started pretty young, and I remember my parents a bit ago they were asked by like a family friend. They were like, "Are you ever like surprised when Tess like goes off again?" They're like, "No." We knew the second she didn't go straight to university and instead just went to Europe for 6 months that we had a traveler on our hands and that we were not going to be seeing her for the next 10 years. So yeah, I feel like I've done a little bit. Europe and Asia was a big one for me because it was just kind of brand new. But I've been to Europe quite a few times now, just kind of all around. South America is on the list though.
Yeah.
Have you been to South America?
No. I was in Costa Rica last year for
Costa
about
Rica's
a week, but I
beautiful,
guess
isn't
that's
it?
technically still North America, I think.
No. I think it's central though.
Yeah, Central. But Costa Rica was beautiful.
Super.
Honestly, within like I was only there for a week, and like genuinely, I tell this people, and they think I'm full of it, but I'm like, I feel like I was slowly starting to learn Spanish like
Stop.
really quickly, like not
That's
enough
so
to speak
unbelievable.
it, not enough to speak it. But one of my buddies that I was traveling with, he speaks Spanish. He's Costa Rican, and he was talking to like our Uber drivers and
Yeah.
anyone that was around us, and I was like, man, I know like a quarter of what you're saying, and like if I was here for like a month, I feel like I would like really start picking it up.
That is so funny. I
Yeah.
feel like I actually kind of believe you. Spanish is pretty easy. I studied
Yeah.
in university and I don't know Spanish, but I feel like the basics.
Yeah.
Once you kind of get a hang of them, and if you were with like a native speaker, you were hearing it
All the time.
the entire
Yeah.
week.
But Costa Rica was beautiful.
Super.
Probably like I've been to a decent amount of countries now, a lot more in the future, but Costa Rica might be the most beautiful I've been to, at
Oh,
least in terms of nature.
yes.
Just like
Love that. Did
so
you like do a
beautiful.
little jungle situation?
Yeah, we went through like I don't know if it's the Amazon or like the Amazon, but just like
Yeah.
through a
I love that.
through-
I don't know if
through
it
a-
was the
I
Amazon.
don't- maybe not the Amazon, but through a rainforest, and it was like
Yeah.
you see so many different animals, like seeing volcanoes and all
Yeah.
these trees, and just like the way they live there is just so amazing.
That's so cool.
I want to ask, do you have a dream country, a dream destination that you haven't
I
been
feel like
to
I have
yet?
so many.
Yeah. What's at the top of the list?
I really want to go to Colombia. I don't know why. It's
I've
just
been
like
seeing
this
so many
one.
TikToks about Colombia.
Really?
People going there and so cheap, like you can stay there
Oh,
for a long time.
I think I don't know. I'm very attracted to Colombia. But then I've also always really wanted to go to India. India's like, for some reason, just like it's really in my brain. But I don't want to go alone, and it's going to take, I don't know. It'll come. But I
Yeah.
think all of South America, literally everywhere, but Colombia and Brazil are like at the top of my list. And then maybe India, and I'd like to go to Egypt.
Egypt. I mean, I'm Egyptian, so I need to go.
Okay, yeah.
I've only went since I was a baby. So
Yeah.
like the last 2 years, I've been like really working on my Arabic because I lost a lot of it
Love
when I was
that.
younger. So I'm like, I want to get back to the point where I can hold a conversation.
That'd be so
and then
cool,
Go. Yeah.
especially for you to go and like be able to speak and I don't know, be a part of
Exactly.
your culture. Actually, it's so funny. I should have said like my family is all African, so I feel like my mom's side of the family, and everyone was born there, and all my family's there.
Really?
So I should probably add that to the list.
Where in Africa?
Zimbabwe.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely go.
I know. I should have added that. That one, it's just, I feel like I'm going to go with my family at some point. And it's not like, when I think of myself going, I'm like other places. But
Yeah.
it'll be a family trip, I'm sure. Same
Yeah.
with you, probably.
Actually with Egypt, I might go with my buddies.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I don't want to, especially with Middle Eastern people, you go there and like, now if I go as a family trip, now there's all these obligations. There's like a
Okay,
million aunts
fair.
and uncles I need to meet, and nieces and nephews, and if you tell if I tell anyone in my family I'm going to Egypt, they're gonna fill like 3/4 of my suitcase with things I need to bring back home. I'm just
Oh,
gonna go. I'll tell my parents when
fair.
I've landed.
That's
Um,
nice. That's probably the way to go.
exactly.
That's so funny.
There's one. I want to do one quick rapid fire before I let you go. It's
Okay.
crazy we've been talking for an hour. It feels like it's
Yeah,
been 10 minutes.
yeah.
So just your favorite. So 1-word answers or 2-word answers very quickly. Favorite movie?
The Notebook.
Ooh, okay. Favorite TV show?
That one's hard. Maybe Friends, probably. So basic.
Good. It's still a good
It's
answer.
so basic though.
Favorite food?
That's too hard. Just fruit in
Fruit?
general. I love fruit.
Well, my next one was favorite snack. I feel like that's the same.
Oh, fruit.
Okay. Favorite? I guess I've asked you favorite country you visited. Philippines?
Yeah, that's too hard. There's too
too
many.
hard.
Italy maybe is probably actually my favorite.
Okay.
Country.
Favorite artist?
I can't just give a one-word answer to this because it's such a strange one. And I feel like I always need to explain myself because people are like, what? But it's Macklemore.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Does he still make music?
Yes, he does. He released an album last year. He is my favorite human being on this planet.
Really?
Oh my gosh. I am not a fangirl. Never been a fangirl. I wasn't even a boy band girl. Never. When it comes to him, I love him so much. I just his everyone thinks thrift shop, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's whatever.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but he has really, really meaningful music, and I am just such a sucker for an artist who like explains themselves and their life and their struggles in their music. Because music is fun, and I have so many favorite artists that just make good music, like Ariana Grande, love. But like Macklemore has like expressed all of his very, very deep down feelings about life and himself through his music. If you actually listen to lyrics, he's very lyrical. And I just love him as a human being.
Yeah.
And his music is great, and it's all over the place. And it's not even like I'm a big hip hop person, but I just, yeah. Anyways, I had to.
No, that's
I
amazing.
can't just say it and not explain
No,
because people are
that's
gonna be like,
fair.
she really likes surf shop.
To each their own. To each their own. And my last one, favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never really. What are all the holidays?
I mean, you got Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. I don't know. You can count your birthday if I feel like that's kind of a self-centered answer.
Oh,
But
I do like my birthday. Maybe I've always liked Thanksgiving. I feel like it's all the benefits of Christmas with like people
Without the
coming
gifts.
together without the added pressure.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
know?
I like
think
that.
Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, honestly, okay, first, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We didn't even get through like a quarter of my questions
Oh,
because the conversation
sorry,
was
I'm
just
sorry.
No, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But that means I definitely have to have you on again.
Woohoo.
But yeah, if there's anything you want to shout out, like hot ones, this camera, this whatever.
Hi, Mom. Love you.
There you go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Listen, and we'll see you next week. Peace.